we have the follow the science crowd, right? It's all follow the science, follow the science, follow the science. That's all we've been hearing, right? So what about this Harvard professor who, her name is Carole Hooven. She is a biology professor at Harvard. And she is in trouble. Some of her colleagues have been trying to get the rage mob to go at her on social media because she won't say pregnant people. She insists on the term woman when talking about people who are able to get pregnant and have babies. And she was talking about the pressure on educators to use the phrase pregnant people instead of mother. And she had said that the ideology seems to be that biology really isn't as important as how someone feels. Now, the director of the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force for Hooven's biology department at Harvard said that she was angered by her comments. The director of diversity inclusion is angry. She's angry at Hooven's comments, and she's been tweeting about this. And I mean, like I said, she's been trying to get the rage mob to go after this professor. And this woman, she tweeted this. Her name's Laura Simone Lewis, and she's listed up at Harvard. She tweeted July 30th, quote, "As the director of the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, my department, I'm appalled and frustrated by the transphobic and harmful remarks made by a member of my department in this interview." Because this biology professor was on Fox and Friends, and all she said was she was talking about pregnant women. Now, apparently, it is transphobic. And remember, anything that's considered transphobic, that's like hate speech, right? So now it's considered transphobic to simply say pregnant women, to even say women. And that's exactly, I mean, it plays right into the hand of what this biology professor was talking about. There's a lot of pressure now and this is starting to become more widely reported within medical schools to avoid terms like male and female. But you guys, follow the science. Follow the science. How many times have you heard this? Follow the science, follow the science, follow the science. You've heard this a million times. Okay, who's science? Because now we're told that science is transphobic. This biology professor, and I have to say, I'm not trying to be snotty, but when I'm looking at I'm looking at this Laura Simone Lewis. She is, she's a PhD candidate. She works with it looks like sociology is kind of what she went to Berkeley. She's a biological anthropologist. Okay. She works with animals. Okay. And then this is a biologist, Carole Hooven, that she's trying to correct, who works with people. I still, science is science. I don't understand why now it's transphobic to say pregnant women. Oh, it's because it's not? That's why. It's because it's not. Carole Hooven's been there at Harvard for 20 years. This is at Harvard. Did you ever think that at any point we would have a headline where somebody at Harvard gets in trouble for saying pregnant women? That now that's considered transphobic, which transphobic stuff is apparently also hate speech, and now you can get fired for it? So I don't know what's going to happen with this professor. I would imagine that she got into it. She published this book. It's called T, the Story of Testosterone, the hormone that dominates and divides us. And so her book came out in July. And so she was doing her book tour, and that's how she ended up being on Fox and Friends, and she was talking about her book, et cetera, and she was talking with a number of different publications. And she was talking about part of science is teaching facts. She says, and the facts are that there are, in fact, two sexes. There are male and female. Those sexes are designated by the kind of gametes we produce. Do we make eggs, big sex cells, or little sex cell sperm? And that's how we know whether someone is male or female. And the ideology seems to be, she says, that the biology isn't really as important as how someone feels about themselves or feels their sex to be. And it's now and this is something that is now becoming more prevalent throughout these schools. So this Laura Simone diversity lady, she says, she tweeted this, if you respect diverse gender identities and aim to use correct pronouns, then you would know, she says, that people with diverse genders and sexes can be pregnant, including trans men and intersex people and gender non-conforming people. And I mean, she like goes on and on. She's like, that's not too hard for medical students to understand. Inclusive language like pregnant people demonstrates respect for it. No, it doesn't. It erases women. Follow the science. It's really difficult to follow the science of people who believe that science says that women they shouldn't really exist. And let's be honest, that's what this is. That's what they're talking about. You're erasing women. You're erasing women.